everyone, my name is Barbara Albert. Thanks so much for having me. Tonight I'm going to talk about the story behind Energy Unlimited, which is my upcoming book, my first book. A bit about me. I'm a co-founder of 100% Renewables, which has the sole mission of helping organizations move towards 100% renewable energy. I'm a sustainability consultant, but I'm also a speaker and a facilitator. And I'm the author of Energy Unlimited, which is going to come out in October this year. I will talk about how I got into energy and carbon consulting tonight, and this is the first time I've actually done this, so it's going to be exciting to be talking about my passion and why I do what I do. And I'll also be talking about the book, and I'll introduce the 4-step methodology for organizations to move down the path of 100% renewable energy. So why do I do what I do? This is my vision. My vision is for organizations to create a sustainable future. I want organizations to contribute to a balance between society, the environment, and our economy. That one here is a wind farm in Austria. You would have guessed from my accent that I wasn't born here. I was born in Austria. That here is a wind farm, one of only 6 sites worldwide that allow you to go upstairs, right up there at the top, and it's giving you a 360-degree view of all the windmills they've got there. It's amazing. My family down here after we've come back down. So this is my vision. And why? We've got this really big problem of climate change, which I probably don't have to talk to you guys about. But 60% of our worldwide greenhouse gas emissions come from our energy consumption. And that's stationary energy consumption as well as transport energy consumption. So by switching to renewable energy, we're solving a big part of the problem. And I want to be part of that problem solving. What really excites me is the intersection between achievement and sustainability. So I think something really powerful happens at this particular intersection. I want my clients to become sustainability leaders, and when I can have projects that establish sustainability leadership, it gets me really excited. And I'm also very excited about win-win solutions. I want to have and develop solutions that reduce the cost, that are good for society, good for the organization, and good for the environment. And that's where my passion lies. So all this culminated recently when I visited Austria, again after a few years of not having gone back. So these are all the pictures. Let me go through them. This is my passion, so it's good to talk about them. This is me pointing at an electric vehicle. Go electric vehicles. That's a biomass facility that's peering through the hole into the boiler of the actual biomass facility. That's the facility here, but it also has solar panels, quite a large number of solar panels as well as biomass. This is from the top of the windmill, looking at all the other windmills, and look at how many there are. It's amazing. This is me visiting the Green Brewery in Styria. This particular brewery, and that's from the top of the brewery looking down, they have just achieved 100% renewable energy, which is a big achievement because it's not just electricity they're switching over their gas consumption, and that's a significant achievement. So here, that's me talking to the brewery master, and look at all the awards that they've received for their efforts. So that's what really excites me. So after all that, Lower Austria, the state where I was born in, announced that it now generates all of its electricity from renewable sources. Now, if that's not exciting, I don't know what is. So we're the lucky country in Austria because they have got so many rivers. So hydro obviously makes up a huge proportion. So, all right, they're lucky, but still, large hydro, small hydro, wind, 26% biomass, 9% solar PV, only 2 because they don't get that much sunshine, but still it's there. And then compare that to the situation in Australia. So fossil fuels, 85%, hydro, wind, solar, but it's all growing, but still look at the proportion. And we just have to do something about that. So looking at this situation, Lower Austria achieves it for the whole state. I'm in sustainability consulting and I help organizations establish sustainability leadership, put 2 and 2 together. I want to help organizations achieve 100% renewable energy. So we've developed the renewable energy master plans for Lismore City Council. I don't know whether you've heard, but Lismore City Council has a plan to be 100% renewable by 2023. We developed a plan for them. We also developed a plan for Coffs Harbour City Council. They want to be fully renewable by 2030. We've also done lots and lots of scoping studies, so lots of organizations are interested in maximizing their on-site renewable energy generation. So while they may not go to the full 100% renewable, they're still interested in reducing their energy consumption and generating as much as they can on site. And all that put together, and me wanting to share my experience, because I do want organizations to create a sustainable future, I decided to write a book about it. And the book is called Energy Unlimited, 4 Steps to 100% Renewable Energy. So, the 4-step methodology, I'm revealing that to you now. How does it work? Well, first you have to go through the leading stage. You want to lead everyone else by declaring and committing officially to the goal of 100% renewable energy. So you have to decide on what your boundary is going to be. I mentioned previously stationary energy, transport energy, and electricity consumption. Where are you going to draw your boundary? Are you going to just make electricity fully renewable? Are you going to extend it out to your gas consumption? Are you going to include your fleet? So obviously that's a decision that has to be made. You have to phrase the target accordingly. You also have to investigate your opportunities, because lots of people just tend to think solar, wind, but there's so many more opportunities. There's energy efficiency, which is often overlooked, but it is the cheapest fuel, let's be honest. There's large-scale developments, there's bioenergy, there's biofuels, there's electrification of existing equipment, there's so many more things that can be done, and you just have to be open to them and see whether they're suitable. Step 2 is all about the planning, so a lot of effort is going into the planning phase, obviously. Because the better developed the plan is, the easier the implementation is going to be moving down the track. And it's a long-term plan, it's not something that you can do overnight. Well, you can if you decide to just purchase 100% renewable electricity. That's fairly easy and straightforward. But I'm talking about reduction in energy consumption, I'm talking about on-site renewable energy generation. That's something that will take years to implement. So plan, 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 and spend a lot of time on the planning. And that's probably, you're going to love that, because probably that's what you guys do a lot, is analyzing energy profiles and really digging deep, looking at the data that's available. Where does the electricity go? Where does the other energy consumption come from? How much goes into transport? How much goes into gas? How does it all work? What's your energy consumption been like over the past years? What do you think the energy consumption will be like in the future, considering future changes of the organization? You might downsize, you might acquire more businesses. Taking that into consideration, you'll have an energy consumption that's likely different in the future compared to what you've got now. So making the appropriate projections is very important, because in the end you want to meet 100% renewable energy in your target year. So lots of analysis work, load profiles, you name it.
Barbara, what was that that split? Where was that from?
This particularly here, the pie chart, or which one? The pie chart, so because I do a lot of work with councils, this represents an energy balance. Who here has heard of an energy balance before? Okay, some of you. So imagine a council has lots and lots of different properties and assets. They have libraries, they have administration buildings, they have pools, public centres, they have got street lighting, lots and lots of street lighting, it's a big proportion usually. This particular case is a regional council, so they supply the water and the sewer infrastructure. And if you can imagine, there's a lot of electricity consumption that goes into the provision of water and sewer. So looking where everything goes, all the electricity consumption, this is a typical distribution for a regional council. So in this particular case, 41% of the energy that's being consumed goes into treating sewer. Water filtration and pumping, lots of pumping, just huge energy consumers, huge. And then street lighting typically, and then property is just a small proportion usually for the rural councils. That's the pie chart, typical pie chart. Any other questions on this slide?
How is the daily consumption during the middle of the day less than the
This one, yeah, the low profile.
Yeah.
That's an accumulated load profile. So that's a load profile of all these assets overlaid on top of each other.
Yep. But at 5 a.m. it drops in consumption, then you've got lower consumption during the middle of the day, and then it peaks up again.
So
it seems
usually
strange for council assets to be behaving like that.
that's because of the water and sewer. So where you can't always do it with the sewer, but definitely with the pumping for the water filtration. You can do that off-peak. So that's why I do it off-peak, and you wouldn't do it in the middle of the day because of the peak rates.
And street lighting.
And the street lighting, yeah. So that's a big proportion, and that's a big proportion. So you try to do as much off-peak as you can, and this is off-peak street lighting. Hence the weird low profile. It's because of the atypical water and street lighting cost reduction measures. It's only rarely that you have to pump during the day during special events, but you try to do it off-peak as much as possible. Can't always do it with the sewer because that's on demand. So once you've got a really good understanding of your current situation, so that's where it all starts, with a really good understanding of your current baseline and a projection into the future. Once you've got that understanding, you can start matching the opportunities that I've showed you earlier to your needs. Which of these are financially viable? Which of these are technically possible? If you don't have access to biomass, well, then that's excluded. Or if you don't have access to a stream of flowing water, then you can't have hydro unless you enter into a power purchase agreement. And then there's also preferences of the organisation. Would you even consider biomass to be acceptable or not? Would you do anaerobic treatment of the sewer and accept the methane treatment of that? So it's all like a matter of preferences, overlaying that with the financial costs and the technical feasibility, because sometimes you may want to do something, but then you may find it hard to find a local supplier and get it maintained and serviced by local tradespeople. So sometimes there are barriers, and you just have to overlay all that with what the preferences are. And then you pick the financing option. So that's, sometimes people tend to think that you just finance everything off the balance sheet, but nowadays there's so many innovative financing options out there. It's quite incredible. And depending on what you prefer, these variables will be different. So upfront costs could be nil or 100%. Sometimes, well, if you fund it from the balance sheet, for instance, the upfront cost is going to be all of it, but you can take out a loan, you can do a power purchase agreement. There's lots and lots of different options. You can even go to community funding. There's heaps of options. And then you have to engage your stakeholders. It's a very crucial point. I always tell my clients, engage them as early as possible, bring them on board, get them excited, get their input, know who's affected, who do you need to consult, who needs to participate in the meetings, the workshops, where do you need input. So it's really a really good idea to have a proper developed stakeholder engagement plan so everything runs smoothly, because it's also going to minimize the project risks, the human component. Because if everyone's on board, it's just a smooth execution.
Can I ask you, is there a typical stakeholder people forget?
Well, it depends on the project. It really depends on the project. So there's, if you do a stakeholder analysis, there's the internal stakeholders, and they have to be, usually you want them to be cross-divisional, because you need all their input, and there are pockets of knowledge distributed throughout the organization that no single person would have. So the sustainability manager or the asset manager wouldn't have all the knowledge that all the different departments have. So I'm talking about large energy consumers, large organizations. So internally you've got lots of stakeholders, but then of course externally you've got stakeholders. So in the case of a council, of course, you've got the residents, for instance. In the case of an organization, you've got the neighbors. So every situation is going to be different. You have to go through a stakeholder mapping exercise and then determine whether you're just going to inform them or consult with them, or whether they need to provide input, and like crucial input, and need to collaborate with you. So every situation is different, and I haven't, like in my projects that I've done, there's always really good stakeholder engagement, so it's hard to think of who would be forgotten, but I don't know, does anyone have any
Maybe
ideas?
someone else.
Who are the stakeholders that are usually left out?
Well, the people with the least amount of money.
Yeah, okay.
The residents, you know. I could tell you, like, at Ningen, like another thing at Ningen, when the big solar farm was put in, like I already said, how many people from UNSW worked on the solar farm. Guess how many people I met from actual Ningen who worked on the solar farm that I met in the time I was there.
Yeah. So hopefully
Yes,
that would take
yes.
with that privacy, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I met one person and they lived in Ningen, but they had to move from Northern Territory and they moved back home. Now,
What
that's
about the maintenance? Is that the same case?
Yeah, well, that's a town with 2,000 people. You can imagine they got 300 jobs in that area. That if unemployment rate is 5%, every single person in that town should have a job. Now, I went down because it was a small project. So, like, project, you know, everyone knows how project works. After the job, you need to find another one. Now, I went down to the local job agency, and people were walking in and out of the offices asking for work. Oh, sorry, we've got no work for you today. They've just got a big camp with 300 people, all coming in from all across the rest of the state, with like these in these like little sheds, living in these little sheds, when there's people already living up the road who are looking for a job. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I do believe that all the solutions that we put in have to be balanced with pretty much all the needs like society, economy, environment, and as much local as possible. There has to be a balance. So yeah, there should be a balance.
Thank you.
So, but going back to the stakeholders, so I was talking to the brewery master. I should bring up the picture. Let's see how fast I can go back. So this picture was taken from the top of the brewery, and this is a solar thermal field. And see how I should walk over here. See how we've got the neighbours right here and right here. This one here is a biogas facility, so that one here takes the wastewater and makes biogas. That one here makes biogas as well for the thermal needs of the brewery. But the sealing doesn't quite work, so sometimes some of the methane the gas escapes, and the people that live nearby sometimes smell the gas, and obviously there's lots of complaints, which makes developing such a project really, really tricky. And the brewery is constantly working at improving the situation and making it a tighter fit so that the gas doesn't escape. But yeah, so you've got lots and lots of stakeholders, but it's an amazing achievement of the brewery to have gotten approval for both the solar thermal and the biogas facility.
Solar thermal?
Yes, it's solar thermal.
Did
Yeah.
the neighbours get
That's the main
premium?
thing they need.
It's really
Is it
good.
ours?
Is that
No,
mirrors? Is that mirrors? That's just collectors.
no, they're just like a hot water system.
Yeah.
Oh, it's PV.
No,
Right.
it's not
Right.
hot water, just like on your roof.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This used to be the soccer field, and they gave up the soccer field for for the renewable energy generation. So it's quite an amazing
There's
company.
too many fart jokes when they play.
Once you've got all your opportunities, you've evaluated your opportunities, you've evaluated your situation, you know what the future is going to look like, and then you package every single opportunity up in a pathway. And you select the opportunities based on prioritization criteria like the internal return, rate of return, let's speak. So internal rate of return, or the net present value, or the payback period, and you prioritize. But I have a recommended approach for how the opportunities should be rolled out. So this is my recommended pathway. I recommend starting with energy efficiency first. First, always, always, always reduce your energy consumption before you start putting in renewable energy generation. It's the cheapest fuel. Go for it. Identify the opportunities that you have in your organization for reducing energy consumption. Once you've done that, what are the opportunities for your organization to generate electricity on site? So obviously the organizations that have access to owned land have advantages over the ones that don't. For instance, organizations that rent the premises have many more barriers to on-site generation compared to councils, for instance, that have access to land, or food manufacturers that have access to land. Very different situation. So initially always start with the behind-the-meter implementations, obviously, because it displaces the retail tariff, so financially perfect. Next best thing is to generate on your own property. So we've heard from Chloe about the utility scale, really large scale solar implementations. What we often tell our customers to do is the implementation of what we call customer scale or mid-scale systems that range from 1 to 5 megawatts. If you've got space, then that's a really good thing to do. It hasn't really taken off yet in Australia, but in my opinion, I think this will be taking off, the mid-scale range for organizations to generate on their own property. Once you've done all that, you will probably not be able to meet all of your energy consumption. That's the sad truth. Even if you've got access to land, you probably won't meet all of your energy consumption. So you start here, you bring it down as much as you can with energy efficiency, you produce as much as you can on site, but there's going to be a residual energy consumption. So to get to 100%, most likely you will have to purchase renewable energy through, for instance, power purchase agreements, or through purchasing renewable energy certificates, most likely. Unless you've got lots of land, then you can cover all of your consumption. Now I'm talking about net accounting principles here. So to be able to claim 100% renewable energy, you nil out your energy consumption over a year. So the third step then, of course, is the implementation. You've got a prioritized plan, you know what to execute. Implementation is all about the actual implementation of the project. So you further refine the business cases, you go to market, you go to tender, you evaluate the responses, and then you deliver, because it's going to take years. I'm talking about a staged implementation plan. Maybe you have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 15-year plan, but you implement probably every year. Step 3 is Step 4. It was just what? Step 4. Step 4 is succeed. So succeed is where we hopefully achieve the target. So every year that you implement the projects, you would monitor your current energy consumption and where you're currently at. Maybe you need to tweak your plan. Maybe something has changed in your organization. Maybe you need to redevelop a few areas. But eventually, hopefully, you'll succeed and reach the target. And lots of my clients have received awards for their renewable energy plans. So for instance, Lismore Council received the Green Globe Awards last year for their renewable energy master plan. And they continue to be featured in the media, so they get lots of good media coverage because of their efforts. So pathway examples, what do such pathways look like? So that's an example of a regional council. And you know how excited I am by fossil fuel reduction to 0. That really excites me. Sustainability leadership in action. By 2030, no more fossil fuels. How are we going to make up the difference? Because the energy consumption is going to grow. We're going to have solar PV, we're going to have energy efficiency, we're going to have a customer scale, mid-scale solar development. We may have a waste to energy project. If not, then the mid-scale solar PV plant has to be sized bigger. And they may have to purchase and make up the difference with the purchase of renewable energy certificates or make the farm bigger. Another way of looking at this is using a waterfall chart. This is an example of another organization. So you start with the current consumption. This is where it would be with no action, but with existing energy efficiency improvements, they will be done here. With the planned energy efficiency improvements, they will be done here. And this has to be supplied from renewable energy sources. So if you would like to know more about my 4-step methodology and how to achieve 100% renewable energy, I encourage you to pre-order the book. So I've brought along some brochures that have the details of where you can pre-order the book. I would like to thank you for your attention. I'm pretty sure I went over the allocated 20 minutes, but once I start talking, it's really hard to stop me. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you.